Welcome to the Collab Podcast. My name is Michelle.
And my name is Devin.
On this podcast, we explore concepts of self-mastery and community collaboration
Through in-depth panel discussions and intimate interviews with dance's most prominent figures.
Yeah. See my peanut butter jelly snack, pull it ride, busty painting. That's my sunshine when it's raining. That's my boo. Yeah.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the Community Lab. Today's guest has a resume that is breathtaking, both figuratively and literally. Julian, or better known as Juju Sena, launched his dance career in sunny Southern California with #throwback teams IAM, IDK, Eastlake All Male, Eastlake Air Bands, and Eastlake Dance Company. From there, Juju went on to join and eventually direct San Diego's award-winning adult competition team, 220 Second to None. Aside from taking his dynamic, high-powered dance classes, you've probably spotted Juju performing with Keone and Mari Madrid's Beyond Babel cast, in the Beats by Dre commercial featuring Serena Williams, in Vegas at Cirque du Soleil's One Night for One Drop event featuring Hans Zimmer, at Coachella with Billie Eilish, and K-pop fans, brace yourself for this one, at Soldier Field in front of 60,000 people twice with K-pop sensation BTS. Juju has also poured back into the dance community tremendously as a skeezy and building block dance instructor, as an integral committee member to some of your favorite dance events like Body Rock, and has now even founded his very own show called Platform Dance Showcase. Juju's intense upward trajectory into dance has been fueled by his passion for the art, coupled with a keen ambition in marketing and strategy. Pouring a staggering 10,000 hours into his craft, Juju strikes a seemingly perfect balance of yin and yang in the community and industry dance scene. Welcome, Juju!
Dang, that is one heck of an intro, Devin. Yes.
It was hard to fit everything in.
That is all you.
Now I got to follow that up with a really good interview. So,
I mean, that's incredible. As we were kind of going through your bio and trying to, refresh our memories with all of your accolades and all of your accomplishments, it really is incredible all that you've accomplished in such a short amount of time. How do you stay focused, and how do you keep reaching to continue to want to improve yourself?
Well, I think just staying focused. I'm really passionate about dance, like, not gonna lie. So
Really?
yeah. I mean, it's something some people might not know about me. But as far as like staying focused goes, I'm always trying to like get better no matter what. I think one of the main things that I really, really try to live and breathe is that you always have something to work on. And you should always be a student of the game. You should always be a student of the craft. Like, even when I get to like certain heights, like, it's never just about like staying there. It's always trying to reach newer heights and trying to push yourself and be the best person that you can be.
Did you know that by definition, you are a master?
Really?
Yeah. Devin did the calculation. So you have over 10,000 hours that you've invested in perfecting your craft. So by definition, you are considered a master. So we bow down to you.
Oh, yeah. Stop that. The crazy part about that, because I've been reading a lot lately, and the 10,000 hour rule is a good benchmark to have, but the best in the world actually go past 10,000 hours. Like, you'll see like, the greats, like what you consider the greatest of all times, they'll reach typically thousands of hours, which is like insane to me, because it takes a really long time to get to like 10,000.
At the time that we're recording this podcast, one of the greats has left us. And I have just been a huge fan of your Instagram lately. I've been doing a little bit of stalking in preparation of this podcast.
That intro,
I posted yesterday you took a quote by Kobe, and it says, the most important thing is to try and inspire people so that they can be great in whatever they want to do. And then you went on to say just a couple words of wisdom to everyone that follows you in your craft. And that's to work hard, always be a student, and lead by example. Make people around you better, embrace your struggles. Yeah. What are some of the things that you maybe want to expand on that quote, and just, I mean, do you aspire to be someone like Kobe, but in dance?
That's a big milestone that's a big mountain to climb. I wouldn't say like, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm trying to reach like that level, but I'm also kind of just focused on being like the best I can. If that inspires other people, I would love that to happen. There's a saying in dance, and it's aspire to inspire. And it's basically what Kobe did. I don't know. He was just the best at what he did. He was the best at his craft. He worked really hard, and he led by example. He touched millions of people throughout the world, and through that example, and he didn't have to say anything. He just did him, and everyone kind of followed, or everyone kind of lived that story. I wouldn't say I want to be Kobe, but I definitely do want to have an impact on the dance community. Just because the dance community has given me so much, and I think my next step in my dance career is to focus on giving back and really, really making sure that the next generation of dancers has something to like look forward to and build on. That's where I'm at with my career, at least.
Well, and I think that's what makes you, and I think that's what makes people want to follow you, Juju, is because you sort of have this humility about you, and you're really just staying true and authentic to yourself, and you're just following your own path, and you're not trying to be anyone else. You're not trying to be the next Kobe. You're just doing Juju. And I think that's one of the things that I love about you, and as well as everyone else that follows you. And I think you set such an incredible example for myself and a lot of other dancers in the community. So, I mean, we'll dive more into that later, but I just want to say thank you for being so impactful.
No, thank you. Thank you guys. I'm just doing me.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, that's one of the things that we love about you, because, and I think it's really important, because I think in a day where, social media is a thing, and we're all trying to copy, and we're all trying to do what other people are doing, everything is the same. I think it's really important. That's a very important message, right? And even in dance, right? Because you look at dancers, you want to be like that dancer. You want to do what that dancer does. And I think that it's hard to set yourself apart and be individual in this kind of industry. And I think you do a very good job of that.
That really means a lot.
Yeah.
I worked super hard for that.
Yeah. Well, of course, 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
So tell us where you are right now, because you're doing something special right now. You're out in New York.
Yes. I'm in New York. Living in Brooklyn right now, performing for Beyond Babel, their third season. It's a 1 hour and 30 minute long feature. So, imagine dancing for an hour, 30 minutes long. We got a brand new theater in Greenwich Village, which is like a little south of Manhattan, off Broadway. And we're just about to start our show. The grand opening is going to be February 1st. We're currently going through previews, and it's been a wild ride. Before this podcast, or before we started recording, I was telling Michelle and Devin that we've only had, ever since coming to New York in the beginning of January, we've only had like 3 or 4 off days. So it's been crazy.
Wow. That's insane. How do you feel about a show like Beyond Babel? I mean, because it's dance is becoming more mainstream, and Beyond Babel is sort of the first of its kind in that it's in New York. It's sort of this big time thing. It was here in San Diego. I mean, how does that? What is your take on that, and how the dance community has evolved, and also what has your experience been so far?
So there's no show like Beyond Babel for sure. It's the only show that's told primarily through dance. Typically like dancers from our community, we only dance for like 5 minutes straight, and sometimes we even have breaks in between. So you can imagine how physically demanding that is. But I think, it's one of a kind because there's no other show that does that, like who tells a story through dance for, 2 hours essentially, and it's really cool to see. I think, Keone and Mari do a really good job with pushing the dance community and pushing the craft and trying to break new barriers with things that we haven't seen before. I mean, they've made a dance book. They're now making the show. They're currently working on, other Broadway shows. They just announced that they're working on the Karate Kid, the musical. So it's pretty insane. But yeah, just being around that energy is so special. It's coming to work. I feel like I'm really making a difference just because of what we're doing. We're doing something no one has ever done before. So it's really cool.
What are some of the other experiences that you're looking forward to while you're out there? Because you've made the move, right?
Yeah. I'm definitely okay. So some personal goals that I really want to do. I really want to get better at cooking, because if there's any time to get better at cooking, it's right now when I'm living like on my own, all that good stuff. I also want to kind of immerse myself in the dance community a little bit more, especially since we're living in a new city. And I always feel like dance communities, although they are similar, I think every region has something to offer. And I really want to see what New York is about. So hopefully when, we get more off days, I can like go ahead and take more class and stuff, or go to a couple like jams or sessions. I think that would be really fun. But yeah, for the most part, cooking and dancing.
That sounds awesome. Is this your first time in New York?
No, this will be my 6th, actually.
Nice.
First time was with 220. And then the previous 4 times were with teaching gigs.
How does life compare from San Diego to New York?
Way more fast paced.
Different, right?
Way more fast paced. It's actually like a nice change of pace, which I like, because San Diego, it's way too chill. It's a beach city. Everyone's so nice. Everyone's taking their time, which is really nice. It's lovely. But you can get stuck in that, that pace. So moving to New York, everyone's trying to make the most of their time. Everyone's trying to get somewhere or do something. So it's a good energy to be around if you want to work hard. The people are way nicer in San Diego, though. I'm still standing by that.
But that's because in New York, people have got like you said, people have got places to go, they've got things to do, and so they're laser focused, right? So
yeah.
San Diego's a little bit more laid back because we ain't got nothing to do.
I mean, we got the beach, just
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I want to touch on a couple of things. You said that training for being on Beyond Babel cast has been physically demanding. So how does one prepare themselves to be part of such a physically demanding cast?
Ooh, well, definitely working out for sure. Eating healthy. Also on the mental side of things too, making sure that you're in the right mindset to do things. Because if you're not in the right mindset, you can miss a lot within the 30 seconds of the show. You know what I mean? So it's really important to stay focused. But yeah, for the most part, I think a lot of health things really come into play, like working out, making sure your body's in shape, eating healthy, taking care of your body, and also training too. Lots and lots of training, because you need to be able to dance, if that makes sense. And working out can only do so much. It'll get you to that level physically, but if you can't actually use that physicality in your dancing, then your training won't come into play.
So what are some examples of what you do mentally and physically to help prepare yourself? Because that is a big deal, right? To be mentally in it and invested in this long haul, essentially, this big project where you are on practically for, like you said, for 2 hours at a time. So how do you mentally prepare yourself? And then also just physically, how do you physically prepare yourself? I know you touched on it, but just elaborate a little bit more.
So for shows, I'll go into meditation. I love meditating. I think it's really nice. I also have this little like pre-show ritual. I play a certain song and it kind of just like flips the switch for me in terms of like dancing and performing, which is really nice to have because I feel like whenever that song plays, it's like go time, so it's a good way to like have myself zone in. For warming up for the show or preparing for the show, you definitely have to do, I do a lot of like dynamic stretching and like cardio work just to get my body like amped up and ready. And then even after the show, because after the show happens, it prepares you for the next one. And you got to really take care of recovery. So I do a lot of stretching after the show, just to, limit the soreness for the next morning.
It's really important. I think when you're doing a show that's this physically demanding, but I think it's also important for dancers to know that these are the things that you should do when you're on a team as well. Especially if you're on a competitive team like 220, you should mentally prepare yourself. You should stretch. You should take care of your body and feel your body in the right way. So I think, yes, it's important for you, Juju, because, you're enduring such physically demanding things. But I think it's also important for dancers to remember that, we have to take care of our bodies.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wish I knew these things when I was on 220, because when I was on 220, I was doing probably like stretching and maybe like meditating for a little bit, but I didn't do too much of that. I definitely just, went to practice, ate a burrito, called it a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the other thing I want to touch on really quickly is you said that you want to start cooking. You want to learn how to cook. And that is is that strictly for survival, or is it because you want to have something else creative to do?
Oh, wow. I never really thought of it having it creative yet, but also because I'm not at that level. But I think it would be more so for survival, but I am like looking towards the future, and cooking is just a skill that I'd love to have. If I have a family, for example, I want to be able to cook them dinner, or, if I'm ever in a situation where I'm on my own again and I want to save money, cooking is one of the best ways to do so. And even watching your intake, or, making sure you have the right nutrition, because that's important too with dance. Like, you can't be having like steaks all the time, or like California burritos, you know what I mean? Like, you really have to like be able to cook. And in order to do that, it's way easier to control the amount you eat if you cook it versus like going somewhere and ordering like half a plate of something, What's
a normal meal for Juju?
A normal meal for me. That's tough. Well, I mean, it's always going to be, I try to keep it simple. It's proteins, carbs, and vegetables, like any sort of vegetables. The Babel trainers also have this rule where your food has to have at least 5 colors. If it has 5 colors, it's usually a good meal.
Just like 5 shades of brown.
5 shades. Yeah, we have
or like if my French fries are, each fried a little bit more than the other.
Yeah. I mean, carne asada fries, dude. Like, they have 5 colors. You have your
That's
potatoes.
True.
Yeah. That rule obviously doesn't work for everything, but hey,
So now that you're there, and you're probably very immersed and focused on, the show and giving your best, but have you given any thought to what you're going to do after the show? Or is there going to be a Beyond Babel 3? Are you at liberty to say?
Ooh, well, there are certain things. For the most part, I think, I should talk about the things that are already announced. So I'm working on Body Rock, and we'll be working on Platform. As far as me in New York, that's up in the air still. I think for the most part, we're just focusing on getting the first run of the show and having a good first successful run of the show here, since it is our first time in New York. So yeah, I don't want to get too far into the future, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we have a good showing here, which I do think we will. Previews have been going like really well.
How long is the show for?
It's going to be until March.
Okay.
Yeah, but then I'll be in New York until May. So, I'm a little excited to like explore the scene and, hopefully, make some friends out here.
Something that I wanted to ask you about was the fact that you are in New York right now, but you actually just ran Platform Showcase remotely. And I heard nothing but good things. Dylan actually performed with one of his friends from 220,
Right.
and they said it was an amazing experience, and they look forward to the next one. So what was that like not physically being there, but having to manage everything so many miles away?
It was kind of like, well, first of all, I just want to like precursor this by saying I have a really awesome team for Platform. They're like all stars in their own right. So letting them run the show wasn't too hard of a task. I just had to do all the logistics and getting the show line up together, getting the choreographers together, making sure all the music was there, behind the scenes stuff. But as far as like day of operation goes, they're all stars, like Casey, Elena, Lumba, even like all of them did really well. We actually went through a little bit of a crisis because our tech guy didn't know how to do lights. He only knew how to do sound. So one of our members, Zaiji, had to learn lights on the spot, and he did an amazing job, which is awesome. Never want to go through that again, but it was really, really cool to see and hear. Yeah, it's a funny story. It actually came mid-show. So like during intermission, I was checking the group chat and it had like 70 messages, and I was just like, oh gosh, what's going on? I think running the show, because I had such a good team, was a little on the easy side. Yeah, I mean, communicating with the choreographers and stuff, of course that's going to be hard because everyone's just so busy and there's so many moving pieces. But for the most part, once we got over that hump, the show ran pretty smoothly.
Yeah, congratulations on an awesome show. We didn't personally get to see it just because of some other obligations, but it was just so funny when Dylan told me that he was performing at Platform, because I was like, wait, no, that's not possible. Juju's in New York. Like, how is he going to run it?
Yeah.
You and the rest of the team did a fabulous job from what I've seen in the little video clips and from all of the posts as well.
Yeah, it looked like a really fun time. Man, I wish I could have been there, but, duty calls.
Well, one of the things that we also want to talk to you about is just kind of your philosophy on dancers as athletes. I think it's maybe a discussion that has, kind of surfaced in the community now. Dance is being taken more seriously. And a lot of what we're seeing, particularly from, the Keone and Maris of the world, is that you should train as an athlete. You talked a little bit about nurturing your body and really taking care of yourself. So what's your philosophy on dance as a sport?
I do believe dance is a sport. There's like an article going around Facebook like earlier this week that said like dancers are the most like physically demanding like job. And I do believe it's true just because I'm living through it right now. Dancers are definitely athletes. And dance is definitely going to be a sport. And I think right now what we're seeing, especially in the breaking scene and maybe other scenes as well, like you'll see athletes, or you'll see more dancers train physically, but also for functionality versus like bodybuilding aesthetics kind of look. And that's really good. I think we need that, and it's only going to elevate us, because the better we perform as dancers, the more people would want to watch us,
I think it's really interesting that dance is not currently recognized as a sport. And like you said, I think it's coming as well, but I'm just surprised at the delay because you watch esports and gaming is a thing, right? And I've had discussions with this particular topic with my peers in the dance community as well as my husband, because my husband loves gaming.
Oh,
And,
nice. Yeah, that's right. He streams.
Yeah, one of my questions that I constantly ask is like, what do you think is missing from the dance scene right now that will take it to that level of being recognized as a sport?
I think multiple things. One thing that we have to realize is dance can be a lot of different things as well. It doesn't have to be just a sport. It's art first and foremost. And, there's no right way to objectively judge art, breaking is probably the closest thing we have to the sport as a sport in the moment, just because it's so like head to head and there's a winner and a loser. But I do believe like dance competitions, especially community competitions, can get to that point. It's just a matter of getting the right awareness into it and getting the right people to see it. I think that we still have a long way to go to get dance recognized as a sport. But if we continue on the trajectory that we're going to, and dancers keep training and keep elevating the craft and keep getting better, you're going to see a lot more people paying attention to dance and hopefully get something started. All it takes is one investor to put money into Body Rock and make it a whole production, or it doesn't have to be Body Rock. It could be like Arena or Vibe or Fusion, Ultimate Brawl, any of those competitions, But we just have to do our part as dancers and keep elevating craft.
So I was looking at your LinkedIn again in preparation for this interview.
Man, I haven't updated that in a while. So I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. But, you did mention, I don't know if this is a goal that you still currently align with, but you said that you someday would like to aim to be involved in esports and marketing. Is that still true? Yeah.
That's definitely true. It's definitely on the back burner right now, just because of what's been going on with dance, and currently I feel like I probably won't hit that mark till I'm like 30 or 40. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, lately life has been pushing me more towards dance, and I'm kind of just like, I'm going with it.
Well, so one of the other things that I want to talk about, particularly because I'm sure that a lot of our dancers are K-pop fans. And so I want to talk a little bit about your experience with that. What was that like for you? And how did you even come across an experience like that? That's so cool.
That was crazy. Okay, so I'll talk about the experience first, and then I'll talk about how we got there. But for the most part, it was wild. I think that was one of the biggest crowds, if not the biggest crowd I've ever performed for. Not only that, they're also really, really loud. And the arena that we were in was immense. The stage was like 50 yards long, and I've never been on a stage that long before. But yeah, it was pretty intense. I felt like, oh man, it was crazy. And if you watch the videos too, like you'll see how big the stage is. Like we look like ants. So, and it was really cool to be a part of. I think, that was a cool thing to check off on my list. I've always wanted to like dance, backup dance for like someone on tour in an arena, and that ended up happening. So very happy got to do that. Okay. As far as how I got there, funny story. I was actually in Hawaii when I got the message from my good friend Ping, who runs his own like dance org called PNG. He messaged me at like 12 p.m. Hawaii time, and he was in Chicago, so that must have been like 5 a.m. Eastern time, something like that. I don't know. He ended up asking me like, "Oh, do you like BTS or do you like K-pop?" And I was like, "Yeah, I like K-pop. Why?" And he was like, "Well," and then he told me how the production team asked him to hire dancers for this event, and that's how it all started. And it was crazy. I ended up booking my flight to Chicago like that week, and then flying to Chicago right after Platform, by the way, the very first Platform. And I spent about like 2 weeks there preparing for the show. And it was awesome. It was great. Loved it. Love every bit of it. It was a life-changing experience. And I hope we can do it again because they just announced their new tour. But you know, it's okay if we don't. Like, I'm fine with that experience.
Can you imagine what he would have said if you were like, no, I don't like K-pop? It's like, okay, man, thanks. Have a great day.
Yeah. Like, what? Wow. I always think about that too. He probably would have asked me anyways, because we're just buddies like that. But you know, that would have been a funny thing to say.
That's amazing. If you could pick your dream K-pop group to choreograph for, who would it be?
Oh,
would it be
definitely
BTS?
It would definitely be BTS. Yeah, definitely for sure. Just because, well, the cool thing about K-pop artists in general is they train really hard to do everything. So they train really hard to dance, they train really hard to act, and they train really hard to sing. And I just think it's so cool how we can give them like our style of dance, and they can like take it and, you know, actually perform it, you know, versus like some artists where, you know, the backup dancing is like clapping or some of this stuff, you know, like something you see in a cardio hip hop class.
Yeah. That's awesome. What an incredible experience. Oh my gosh. You've got a lot of things that you've checked off your bucket list.
Yeah. And I never really thought I'd be able to do it, but you know, dance has given me a lot. God has given me a lot. The universe has given me a lot. So I'm just really thankful for that.
Actually, Juju, you're one of the few dancers that I know personally, but also just am aware of in the dance community that really takes a stride with community dance and industry dance. Like, you have all of these amazing highlights, you know, performing for such large crowds and being featured in commercials and things like that. But then you also have the show Platform. My question for you is, like, how do you balance that? Because I think a lot of dancers, when presented with the opportunity, they tend to lean one over the other.
Right.
Why did you make the choice that you did, and how do you balance it?
I never intended to go into industry dance, really. Like, I pursued it a little bit in high school and after my first few years in college. Those weren't necessarily the best experiences I had, just because, like, you know, it's really not fun dancing in a room with 800 people for an audition that, you know, you get cut for first round for not looking apart, you know, and that's something I hated about dance. So about industry dance specifically, like, the teachers and the dancers are great, but I just think it wasn't for me personally, which was the funniest thing, because how I ended up getting these jobs was through just people I knew. And it kind of like formed this philosophy in my head that there isn't really an industry without a community. And if you can apply your community values to an industry, like, you'll get way farther than, you know, just aiming for, you know, getting signed by an agency or, you know, doing something along those lines.
That's so well put, and just a breath of fresh air. I agree with you. Like, that's something I also don't care for in the industry dance scene. And that's something that I think we can improve upon in the future, is just, like you said, pouring back into the community and kind of remembering like where we started.
Yeah. It's just so immense right now. I think one thing about, I mean, it's just like that whole like New York, San Diego situation that we were talking about earlier, right? Like, community is a little bit slower paced because for most of us, it's not really a career. It's more so like a passion or a hobby, versus, you know, in industry, we're dancing to get our groceries, you know? So it's a lot more fast paced because everyone's trying to train, everyone's trying to, you know, make a living off of this. And, you know, it's easy to get lost in it.
I think you touched on something really important, and in that it is easy to get lost in it. And we touched on this earlier too, because you see your role models such as you doing great things and going out and being part of industry and dancing with BTS and doing all of these really cool things. And as a dancer who is sort of immersed in the community, maybe that is one of your goals, to go out and be a Juju, right? But I think you made a very good point in that it's important for us not to lose ourselves in the glitz and glamour, right? Because,
right.
and I think that's what makes you, and I'm going to compliment you again, Juju, because you really, you're very impactful in the community. And I think it's because you have struck the right balance between, following your passion, giving back to the community, but also sort of serving yourself in the way where you're out in industry and you're doing things to sort of fill your bucket, right? And I think you're an incredible role model. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. That really means a lot. I think, like I've been saying this over and over again, but dance has given me a lot. The dance community has given me a lot. And, the best I can do is give back and lead by example, and maybe, show people that there is a path like through community to dance and industry.
Yeah, I think you've really shown that. And I think it's, like I said, I think it gives people hope, even though you are immersed in the community and you maybe do want to dabble a little bit in industry, there's hope to do it. And I think do it in the right way, right? Because, you could just go all full in industry and sort of lose yourself in that too, right? So I think you've shown people a different path.
I didn't know I was going through this path until, I don't even know. I honestly don't know where I'm going still, I'm just trying to, dance and do the best I can. And, that's been working so far. So yeah, who knows where I'll be like 2 or 3 years from now. I might be like in, I don't know, Siberia doing something.
Well, good thing we got to talk to you before you did that.
yeah, for reals.
Let's take a step back away from dance for a little bit and talk about my sister. As we were prepping for this episode, my sister was showing me some little gems that she found on your Instagram, and I didn't know this, but you're an anime fan.
Yes, I am. Where did that come from?
We are very good at our research.
Wow, that's incredible. I don't think I've ever posted about anime, maybe through my stories, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of dancers are actually huge fans of anime. So I think it's just one of the things that we like to talk about in between classes and things like that.
Yes.
But my personal favorite, my husband's favorite as well, is My Hero. I believe that's your favorite as well, or one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So
definitely.
If you could choose, what would your quirk be?
Oh, yes. Okay. So I believe one of them, photographic memory or eidetic memory, which is the ability to watch something and learn right away. Really specific quirk, but I got that from the other superhero TV series, Heroes. But yeah. So one of the characters in that show has the ability to like see something and then learn right away, and I thought that was really cool. I would love to do that, or the ability to see how things work and really like dissect like what makes things great. I would love to have that quirk. Nothing too flashy like super speed. Oh, I would love super speed too, actually. Nothing too flashy like flying or like super strength, but I think those are be really cool quirks to have.
I think that's super insightful too. I mean, it's super insightful to your personality, Juju, because I mean, you hit it right on the head where you said, I don't want anything too flashy. And I think that's just sort of the epitome of you. You, like I said, going back to it, you struck this really great balance between community and industry and humility, and also just being confident in yourself. And I think that is the perfect sort of description of like, okay, I don't want anything too flashy. Maybe I just want super speed, right? Like you're not asking for the world, right? You just want a little something.
Yeah. It's funny because the super speed thing, I used to always say super speed or teleportation as my superpower, just because I'd always be late to things. But now I'm I'm better at time management, so I don't think I need the super speed or teleportation anymore.
That's awesome. Yeah. See, and now you're just like, okay, I don't need it. So what else do I need? What else is gonna be of my advantage? So that's awesome. I will say I used to love that show Heroes. My husband and I used to watch it all the time. It was such a great show. I stopped watching it after the circus though.
Yeah. I think I stopped watching it after season 3. Yeah. It just got a little weird. Hard to follow after that. But seasons 1 and 2 were great. I loved it.
Such a great show. Yeah, me too.
Such a great show. Yes.
So what are some other things that Juju likes to do in his spare time? I know you don't have a ton of time right now. You've only had 4 days off, but what are some other things that Juju likes?
Man, that's a tough question. I mean, I honestly love dancing. I do that in my spare time still. But I also play video games. I play a lot of video games. Well, I wouldn't say as much anymore. Lately, I've just been trying to focus on like one video game at a time.
What are you playing right now?
I'm currently playing Teamfight Tactics on the PC. It's a really fun game. It's by Riot. It's the genre is called auto chess or an auto battler. And one thing about me is I love strategy games. I learned chess at the age of 3 and I played with my dad like almost every day after dinner. And then it just kind of carried on. Like I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! And then I got into like other strategy card games. I got into poker eventually. And I think it's just really fun to be able to like, be competitive, not just physically, but mentally.
Do you stream as well?
Yes, I do. I haven't been able to stream as much because streaming is actually very like time consuming in the sense where, once you stream, you kind of want to stream for at least like 2 or 3 hours. And you also have to like interact with chat and be presentable. Like I can't just like have my hair like this and, want to stream. But yeah, it's a really fun thing to do during my spare time as well, just because it's a good way to like interact with people who just want to like watch me play, and make friends along the way, which is really fun.
In another life, do you think you would have pursued like professional gaming or I guess in another life, what would you see yourself doing aside from dance?
Yeah, definitely professional gaming or like some sort of like, competitive strategy game. I would love to do that. I mean, it's not too late too, because, maybe after this whole dance journey is done, I'll have time to like focus on other things. You never really know. But, yeah, for the most part, I would love to if I ever got the chance and I had the time.
I think it's so cool that you learned to play chess when you were 3. I still don't know how to play chess.
Yeah, I come from a really big chess family. It's it's kind of crazy because both my dad's side and my mom's side, they know how to play chess. And it wouldn't just be my dad. Like my dad taught me, but at family parties, like I'd play with my uncles. They're in the backyard playing chess and smoking, which probably wasn't a good idea back in the day, but yeah, I played with them. And then when I went to the Philippines, I'd play with my uncles who also were really good at chess. And it was just, it was a fun experience to bond with family and get my arse beat. I don't know if this is a PG-13 stream.
That's okay. Another thing that I want to touch on is, it sounds like you have a really great relationship with your parents. How has that been on your dance journey, just to kind of have the support of your parents? Because that's really crucial.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't always like that. Yeah. It definitely wasn't always like that because I come from a very traditional Filipino family with traditional values. Like you focus on school, get a degree, get your job, work a 9 to 5, and that's the expectation, right? Not only that, but your expectation is to make money and have a really good job. So my parents did all they could to try to steer me away from dance. And, they're just doing it, like in retrospect, they're doing it to kind of protect me and, they just want my best interests, which is something that, I understand. Going through it, though, is pretty hard. Not going to lie. Like when my passion for dance started like really going into effect, Like it just brought a lot of turmoil with my family because that's something that they didn't want me to do or they didn't want me to pursue. So I kind of made a compromise with them, and I told them I'd finish college, which I did. It took me a really long time though, but I did it. And now I'm kind of just doing this whole dance thing. It was pretty hard at first because I would tell my parents, especially in high school, they didn't want me dancing for too long just because they wanted me to focus on school. So I would have to tell my parents like I was studying at a friend's house instead of going to rehearsal, and it was completely fine. But I think when it really started getting bad was when I was in college and they saw that I was still dancing. That's when they're like, okay, you need to stop this or, there'll be consequences. And, I ended up doing it anyways. And they gave me a really hard time, but unfortunately they only gave me a really hard time. You know what I mean? Like they didn't kick me out or anything. They just, made my life a living hell being at home. But for the most part, once we went over that hill and once I started, actually going places and getting trips and, working for dance and, actually showing them that I'm doing something with it, they started chilling out. And I think the beautiful events, and my dad just couldn't stop talking about it. So it was really cool to hear from him specifically because he was the one giving me a really hard time. For him to say something like that, like it was the best show he's ever been to, like it was really cool to hear.
I think so many dancers can relate to the position that you were in where you're going against the grain, right? And it's not out of spite. It's not because you're trying to be rebellious. It's just you have something pulling you in this direction. You're trying to listen to your heart, but also you have your family who's trying to look out for you as well. Yeah. Was there ever a time where you were reconsidering dance?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like all the time. It's weird to say, but I think God really helped me through that and the universe or, whatever higher power is up there. I'm going to call it God because, that I'm Catholic. But for the most part, yeah, I think it was God because every time I tried to like turn away from dance or I wanted to focus my energy elsewhere, God just put something in my life where I was like, okay, well, shit, now I got to dance. You know what I mean? Like it was like that for everything. I think when I graduated from high school and, I dropped out of college my freshman year because, college was too hard and I had too many responsibilities. I was considering dropping dance so I could try to get back into school. But IAM came along and I didn't want to give that up. And there are so many people relying on me that I kind of just wanted to, give back. And, all the way, like I can go on and on. There's so many examples, like leaving 220. I thought I was going to get a marketing job finally because I had my degree and, what am I going to do after dance? But the Beyond Babel show audition, like announcement came on my feed and I was like, all right, sure. Like, let's apply, let's audition. And it kind of took me to so many different places. So yeah, I want to say it's something else, but it's definitely God.
What advice do you have or would you give to someone who's in the same position as you and wants to pursue something that they're really passionate about, whether it be dance or something else, but they're just not getting either the support from their friends or their family?
That's a tough one because those things matter for sure. If they're against you, it's going to be really hard. But if you truly in your heart, you believe it and you don't want to stop, then don't stop. Like, I think that's the biggest thing that I can give to whoever's listening to this. If you yourself like really, 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 really want to do it and you don't see yourself quitting, keep going. I've been through that a lot, like there are so many times where, it was easier to quit. If it's really in your heart, just keep going and do it. stay strong.
Yeah. Well, and you even carry that mentality when you're teaching class. I would joke around with my sister every time you came to teach at the box. Like, I would have this internal struggle because I would really want to take your class because I just loved the energy that you gave off, but also I knew I was going to be tired in the first 5 minutes.
Yes,
and so I always had this like internal struggle, like, do I want to take Juju's class? I don't know.
Yeah, I've kind of built that reputation.
But I love that.
Yeah.
But my point is I think that you carry this energy and this great attitude throughout everything that you do in life. And do you ever have a moment where you just want to kind of not be that energetic and not be positive?
all the time.
Yeah.
Luckily though, it only happens when I'm like alone. So
That's
good. The key right there. You know what I mean?
That's good. Well, and I'm sure it probably helps to surround yourself with positivity and good people, right?
Oh yeah. Great. Yeah. Positivity, great energy, great people. I really do believe you're a product of your environment, and what you're around constantly will influence you no matter what. Like, for example, being in New York, I usually have a lot of patience, but sometimes like, there'll be like slip ups here and there, just a little bit. Totally fine though.
Yeah, it's totally. You're human. We're all human.
Yeah.
So this next part of the podcast is something that we do with all of our guests. It's probably one of my favorite things to do because it gives us a little insight into just kind of what is at the top of Juju's mind. So I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds, and Devin is going to do a series of rapid fire questions.
Okay.
And the point is to answer as many as you can in the 30 seconds that you're given.
All right. I will try my best.
Ready, set, go.
Gaming or dancing?
Oh, dancing.
Choreo or freestyle?
Freestyle.
Showcase or competition?
Showcase.
Solo or with a team?
I'm going to say solo.
Favorite piece you've ever choreographed?
Oh, shit. Are You There by Muramasa.
Favorite 220 medley?
Vibe 2015 or Vibe 2014.
Time. That was amazing. You did great.
Oh gosh.
You answered a lot. Yeah. That's kind of intense, right?
Yeah, that was pretty intense because there are some ones that are like 50-50 and or 49-51.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That was so much fun. We do one of the things that we do have. So it is on the rapid fire, but I'm just curious because we didn't get to it. What's the best part about dance in your opinion?
I think there's always something to work on with dance. That's a really hard one. I probably would have taken the whole 30 seconds on if you asked me this question first.
That's okay. Now you have time. You can take as long as you need to answer this.
Okay. I think if I were to really, really, really like break it down, I think the best part of dance is one, it's a form of self-expression, but two, it's a way for you to get to know yourself and how you move. Sean Evaristo gave me this really, really awesome quote, and I'm going to use it right now. And it's, "You dance how you live." And dance is just a reflection of life. So that's my thing.
I love that. That is the perfect. It sums it up in the perfect statement, is that dance is a reflection of life. And I think that you are living it and breathing it. And just with your positive energy, you are a legend in the making, Juju.
Oh man, thank you so much. That really means a lot.
Do you remember, so we go back with Juju quite some time, and Devin and I were talking about this. We actually meant to do this at the beginning of the episode, but I got sidetracked because I was so blown away by your introduction.
That was really good. That was a really good introduction. I was not prepared for that, Devin.
That's all you though. Yeah. Do you remember the time that you brought Devin and I Sprinkles cupcakes just because?
I don't remember this, but I'm sure it happened.
You believe
sure
it. Yeah. I just thought it was the sweetest thing. And I actually forgot about it. But Devin was the one that remembered because she was scrolling through her Instagram and we had both taken a picture of these red velvet cupcakes that you brought to us from Sprinkles.
Yeah. Can you link me that? Can you just send it over to my DMs? Because I really want to see it. Yeah,
I'll send it. I don't even remember why, but you
them and you're like, here, this is for you and your sister. Of course, like everybody loves cupcakes, but I was just taken back by how kind of a gesture that was. Like, you didn't have to bring us cupcakes. I don't think it was anyone's birthday that day or
like it's just cause
celebrating. It was just cause. So thank you again for the cupcakes.
Of course. Wow. That's so amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I think it just goes to show what type of human being you are. And that is generous and really thoughtful and kind. And it was fun to sort of touch back on that memory because, it shows how long we've known each other, but also it just, like I said, it's just a true testament to what type of person you are. So
thank you so much. Yeah. Well, funny thing. So Devin and Michelle were actually my first bosses, technically, because I taught at their dance studio, The Box, and that was my first teaching job. So I don't think. And the coolest thing was like during that time, I was still trying to find myself as a teacher and a choreographer. So it was really helpful having The Box there, not only as a studio, but kind of like a home base of operations to, work on my craft and, work on not just my craft, but how I teach and how I communicate it. So I'm really great. I'm always grateful for Devin and Michelle for bringing me there.
Thank you. Well, I mean, we were grateful to have you. I think it brought us a special connection to you. And now when you're famous, you can say that your first job was teaching in The Box.
yeah, I can actually, but I'm not famous yet. So
yet is the key word, Juju.
I'm at a loss for words.
You have a really strong
following in the dance community and on Instagram. So I don't know, just putting.
I mean, yeah. What's weird though? Like I used to focus a lot on followers and stuff, but I don't know. Lately, after graduating from college and after gaining some experience in the social media world, I don't pay attention to those numbers anymore. It's really nice because I can just post what I want. But yeah, for the most part, I stopped caring about like the following, which is really, 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 really nice.
That's so interesting. We were actually talking to Isidro the other day, and I think Isidro said the same thing. He just sort of stopped caring about, and he sort of just stopped all the noise, and it has helped him just sort of grow as a dancer and as a person. And I think that that's really important because, I've touched on this many times in this episode. We do live in a world where there's a lot of validation seeking because you're on social media. You want to get those likes, you want to get those follows. Yeah. But if you really just drill it down to just being you and not paying attention and sort of shutting out all the noise and just posting the content that you want to post, I think it makes you a better person. Because you're not focused on all of that.
And it's way healthier mentally too, because you're not worrying about like, oh, how many followers do I have? Or, oh, do people like this? And it feels really liberating is the key word here. Because if you're able to be yourself in person and on the web, and those two identities kind of like link up and match, it feels really good.
I mean, I think we can all learn a lesson from that and take a step back from social media. I mean, sometimes your life can't prevent it, right? Because you've built your brand or your career out of it. But I think it's really important to kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And social media, like, don't get me wrong, social media is a very necessary part of the game right now, especially when it comes to personal branding and also like for choreographers specifically, how are you going to get your work? Like or how are you going to show your work? You're going to show it through social media. So, it's important to like take note of, but it's also something that you should definitely take with a grain of salt because it might sound like you.
If you could go back in time to yourself, like let's see the 16, 15-year-old Juju, what advice would you give him knowing what you know now?
Damn, 15, 16-year-old Juju. What time in my life was I was starting to get into the dance community. If I were to give him some advice, because this is something that I'm working on right now. Personally, I think it's something that a lot of people should hear, but do more with less. If I were to elaborate on that more, doing more with less means not spreading yourself too thin, so that you can do what you set out to do. I went through a lot of problems with doing like way too much. As a kid in high school, I was literally like your typical like, oh, I need to do like so many extracurricular activities. Like I was into dance, I was into sports, I was doing ASB, like so many different things. And that carried over to the rest of my life, like college. And if I were to really track down like all my failures, it was through spreading myself way too thin and not allowing myself time to, mentally prepare, take care of my mental health, take care of my physical health, and just take care of the things that I was responsible for. When you have responsibilities, like when you're leading a dance team or when you're at a job, or even if you're at home and you need to take care of like your house, if you have too many things going on, you won't be able to really, really dial into certain things. In my personal experience, it's way better to give 150 to like 2 or 3 things than give 80% to like 5 or 6 things. Yeah, if there's any advice I'd give to myself at 15, 16 years old, it would be don't spread yourself thin, do more with less.
That's beautiful. It's like you're talking directly to me, Juju.
Oh no, I'm talking directly to myself too. Like this is something I'm working on currently, and it's actually a New Year's resolution of mine.
It's a really great piece of advice because it really, I think I'm saying back in the day because I'm a lot older than both you and Devin, but back in the day it was, you multitasked and that was a strength. You wanted to put that at the top of your resume on interviews. Like you were the best multitasker in that day, that's what you wanted to do. And I think now as we move forward, we're realizing that is no longer the way that we should work because we're not getting as much out of it and we're not giving as much as we can because we're not, like you said, we're not focusing. It's so much better to give more of yourself in that moment, what you're obligated to, than to only give 50% or 80%.
Right.
Yeah.
It's definitely a very hard lesson that I've had to learn repeatedly over the course of my entire life. So, yeah, it just feels really good to actually be able to have time and work on it now. I'll have my days too, like everyone else, but it's really important to not be too hard on yourself. I think I've gone through my bouts of like depression and all that stuff. And for the most part, you really have to take care of who you are. And the best way you can take care of who you are is to make sure that you're growing, make sure you're improving, make sure that you're really, really focused on what you want to do and you're not letting anyone else like dictate that for you.
We really want this podcast to be focused around positivity and really just highlighting what's good in the dance community right here and now. And so if you could finish this statement for me, the best thing in the dance community right now is...
Okay. Best thing in the dance community right now is that there's just a lot of opportunity. A lot of opportunity for growth, a lot of opportunity for, if you want to start your own business or your showcase, there's a lot of that. And there's just so many people especially in SoCal's dance community, because there are a lot of other like micro dance communities around the world. But I'm only speaking about SoCal because I know SoCal, and there's just so much talent, so many dancers, so many people to learn from, so many people to take class with, so many people to like watch and study. And I think that's the best part, and that's what makes a community a community. It's not just one person, it's a network of a lot of people with a common goal or common interests. And if you can tap into that, there's just so much opportunity for growth.
Isidro said the same thing. It must be that 220 mentality.
No way.
Yeah.
Did he really say the same thing? Well, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's that 220 mentality, you guys. I love it.
Wild.
I love it. I think that's one of the things I think that can often be overlooked is the amount and the variety of opportunity that's available in dance right now. So I'm glad that you said that. Besides the Beyond Babel showcase, is there anything that you want to promote? Anyone you want to tell our listeners, where to find you?
Yes. So a couple things. Obviously, my personal social sites. So Twitter, Jujutron, JUJUTRON, and then you have my own Instagram, which is Jujutron, but with a 0. So it's JUJUTR0N. I also stream on Twitch, not as much as I used to, but hopefully I'll get back on the saddle soon. And that'll be twitch.tv/JUJUTRON. And then last but not least, Platform Dance Showcase. If you want to follow some of the best artists in SoCal, please tune into that page. That'll be at Platform Dance Showcase. We just had our 3rd showcase, and we've only been out for a year. And I'm really excited to see photos and videos. So be ready to, see that on our Instagram.
Well, I mean, it is truly a pleasure to sit and talk to you. I mean, I think probably one of the best things about starting this podcast is that Devin and I have talked about sort of offline is that, we know all these people in the community, but to really sit down and sort of take a deeper dive into their innermost thoughts and their dance philosophies, I think is just really empowering and also just really enlightening. And I've had the best time getting to know you in that way today. And I know that Devin has too. And I have to say this cannot be the end of our conversations. We have to have you back on. There's more to talk about. And thank you so much. We loved having you on today.
Thank you guys for having me. Loved catching up with you two. I mean, it was nice catching you guys at Jordy's party the other. Oh my gosh, was that a month ago?
Last month, yeah.
Dude, it feels so long ago. Oh my gosh. But it was really nice seeing you guys there, and it's also really nice connecting with you two here. So I hope to be back. This is awesome. And I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you so much for listening to the Collab podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please show your support by leaving a review on iTunes.
And be sure to subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts.
The conversation continues over on Instagram and YouTube with highlights from today's episode.
That's my sunshine when it's raining. That's my boo, yeah. When I'm all alone, she pulled through. So when I catch that wave, we gon' move. But then again, we probably won't. Cause I know she like to stay